good morning. It's a little windy up here and I have a fear that it's probably only going to be a lot windier getting up to the top of that peak right there. Today I'm reviewing an interesting shoe, and it's probably from a brand that you don't think of when you think of trail running. I am reviewing the Under Armour Hover Ridge Trek Trail Shoe, which is also dubbed by some as a hiking shoe. So how does it compare as a trail runner? How does it do as a hiking shoe or a mountain running shoe? I'll let you know on today's review. Hey, if you're new here, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, drop a comment down below if you have any questions. Okay, we're gonna get to the top of this ridge right up there, which is only fitting because the shoe is named the Ridge Trek. All right, let's get up to the top of that mountain. Made it to the top. Yeah, it's windy up here, but it sure is pretty. Woo. Just look at that view. Woo-hoo. 10.5 miles into this run. We just came from all the way down there, up this ridge, and now we're going to be running along the ridge at the top here and make our way down back to the actual trail down there, and then up and over that ridge to the car. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the build quality, the comfort, the performance, and the value of the Ridge Trek trail shoe. But first, voiceover Chad, why don't you tell us about some of the specs and features of the shoe? Under Armour states, these are the ultimate ultra cushion trail runners. The UA Hover underfoot feels soft, but also returns energy. The Vibram outsole grips even the most treacherous terrain, and the super durable materials handle the harshest conditions. As for some of the specs and features, you get a Vibram Mega Grip outsole with traction lugs, the Hover midsole, which is infused with olefin, synthetic upper with 3D printed overlays for protection and structure, a mid-cut design for ankle coverage and support. Its tack height is unknown, but to me it feels like 32 millimeters in the heel, 24 millimeters in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter drop, weighing in at 333 grams or 11.75 ounces in a standard men's size 9, and a US MSRP of $170. However, I did find on third-party websites that price to be nearly half. I should also state that Under Armour sent me these shoes for the purpose of review, but all thoughts and opinions are my own. All right, Chad, back over to you. Okay, well, it's not windy right now. Let's talk about the build quality of the Ridge Trek trail shoe. Overall, Under Armour, as they typically do, did a great job on the build. Everything came together quite nicely on this shoe. They used good materials that are durable. You have, starting with the outsole, you have a very nice Vibram Mega Grip with those traction lugs. Just does a phenomenal job at gripping into anything. I think that the outsole is going to last a very long time, which is typical of a Vibram outsole. So great quality there. The Hover midsole is pretty good as well. I'll share some thoughts here in a moment about the comfort and performance of the midsole, but from a build perspective, that Hover midsole is gonna last a long time. Whoa, that rock was loose. As for the upper quality, as mentioned in the specs and features, you get a engineered synthetic mesh with 3D printed overlays. What that really does is provide a nice protective hold around your foot, but it's an upper that should also last a long time. I've not had a single issue at all. So quality of the upper is really nice. And then you have some overlays, show you along the top of the toe, a nice solid toe box. Again, you get all this 3D printed overlays, which just helps add to the durability of the outsole. Some nice TPU overlays around the heel there. So yeah, really no complaints. I'm not sure what else to tell you about the build or build quality, but it really came together quite well. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, which is really, really good. Now on to the comfort. The comfort is also pretty good, though not perfect. There's a couple things I would do to improve the comfort of the Ridge Trek shoe. The midsole, it's a responsive midsole, but it's not the most cushioned. I mean, Under Armour touts this as a highly cushioned shoe, but it's really not. It feels like you have decent stack underneath your foot. I would estimate, though not official, about 32 millimeters of heel stack and 24 millimeters in the forefoot, which is sufficient for trail running. So the midsole, coupled with that Vibram outsole, does a great job at protecting your foot. It gives you decent ground feel, which is really nice, but I think the midsole could be a little softer. There's not much in the way of arch support, which doesn't bother me, but just worth noting. And then the upper is also actually pretty nice. One area that I would improve is to add just a little bit of padding on the top where the tongue of the shoe would be, right across the top of your foot. While it's never presented itself as an issue, I just think that would add to the comfort. Now you do get some padding along the ankle and heel of the shoe on the inside. I feel like my foot is secure in the shoe and there's no rubbing or redness, irritation at all anywhere in the shoe. So comfort of the upper is quite nice. My foot is held nice and secure, and the materials are also somewhat breathable. So now here's where it gets a little interesting. From a comfort perspective, I would give it a 7 out of 10 when using this shoe for trail running. Now for hiking, I would give it an 8 out of 10. So just a little bit of a bump, a little bit of improvement on the comfort. And that is because of the gaiter system. As you can see, you have this extra layer of fabric, like a built-in gaiter on the shoe, which has been actually quite nice, especially when running on this really rugged terrain where there's a bunch of rocks and weeds and bushes that will kind of scrape against your ankle a little bit. It does a good job. Now this is getting in performance a little bit, but it does a really good job at preventing rocks from getting into your shoe, which of course you get a rock in your shoe, that's not very comfortable. And it also gives just a little bit of ankle support, not much, not like a full mid-height hiking shoe, but just a little bit of ankle support and ankle protection. So again, adding to the comfort. So as a hiking shoe, I would give it an 8 out of 10. That's still pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Let's finish descending down this mountain. We just need to connect into the trail over there, and then we'll be coming up over the ridge right over there. Having a great time out here for sure. Now onto the performance of the shoe, which is probably what you're really most interested in. So I kind of alluded to it already in the comfort, but as a trail runner, the shoe performs good enough. As a hiker shoe or mountain type shoe, I think this excels just a little bit more. So the upper performance has been really actually quite nice. As I mentioned, it does a good job securing your foot in place. There's been no rubbing, hot spots, or blisters at all experienced in this shoe. And I've had it on quite a few runs and a couple hikes as well. I feel like that synthetic mesh does a really good job at not holding on to water. In fact, I recently went to Moab and hiked some slot canyons, and in those slot canyons was a few areas where we had to navigate through some water, and in doing so my feet were completely submerged in these shoes. And despite that, my feet felt very comfortable the duration of the day. The water is able to just kind of get squeegeed out, squished out of the upper. So when dealing with water in this shoe, it does a great job. Continuing on with the upper, that extra gaiter that comes around your ankle is also pretty comfortable. I already mentioned that it helps protect your ankle and offers just a little bit of stability, which at times is nice. Now, for a trail runner, do you always need that? No. There's definitely been trail shoes that offer that protection, and it's really nice to keep rocks from getting into the shoe. But as a dedicated trail shoe, I don't know if you always need a built-in gaiter like that. I also mentioned about the midsole and feel that the Hover midsole is good. It's pretty responsive. It feels good when you're going downhill, but for most of the time when trail running, I felt like it was a little clunky and not very soft or bouncy, which is something I have come to really like in a trail runner. For walking, hiking on the trails, the midsole does a totally adequate job. It offers really good protection underfoot, coupled with that Vibram Mega Grip outsole. Okay, I'm gonna hike up this hill. And speaking of the outsole, that Vibram Mega Grip with the traction lugs does a phenomenal job at gripping into whatever you're going through. Whether it's a single track trail like this, rocks, roots, even when wet, it does an awesome job. I love the outsole on this shoe. Okay, let's think. Am I missing anything on the performance? Let me know if you have any questions. Drop them down below in the comment section. I'll be sure to reply. So let's think. Mega Grip outsole performs amazing. Hover midsole could be a little softer. It's responsive, does a decent job, but feels a little clunky underfoot. The upper is amazing. I should also mention that I ordered my typical 9.5 size, which fits great. I don't feel like I need to size up or down at all. There's enough room in the toe box, although it's not a wide fitting shoe like a Topo or Ultra. All right, so I guess that's it on performance. Again, I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't want to ramble on too much. Okay, so we were just on top that mountain lip right there, and then we'd come along the top of that and drop down right through here and connect it back into the trail. It's beautiful out here. Looks like it might be raining out there. See a little bit of fog in the distance out there. Sure is pretty, but boy, that was windy on top of that mountain. Oh, I thought I was gonna blow over. While I ascend up the last section of this ridge here, let's talk about value. The Under Armour Hover Ridge Trek shoe has a US MSRP of $170, which is a lot of money. You have a lot of really good shoe options for $170, and I don't think this shoe is worth that much. I would give the value at $170, probably a 4, maybe a 5 out of 10. But I did some research, and it looks like you can find other versions, older colorways, up to half off on other websites. So for half off, that is a much better deal. But is it worth it? There's other trail shoes that are also on discount, you know, last year's model, and those are going to be a good value too. So I hesitate to say this because I always want to say something positive, but unless you can get this shoe for like 50 bucks, I don't know if I would fully recommend it. So here's my thoughts. The Under Armour Hover Ridge Trek is an intriguing offering. It's not a bad shoe, but the market is super competitive. If you're looking for a good trail running shoe, there are too many other phenomenal offerings, and that's why I don't know if I would recommend this shoe. If you're looking for a good hiking shoe, kind of a mountain shoe that has the agility of a trail runner, this might be a good one to check out and consider. For that, I would recommend it. Now, how am I going to use the shoe going forward? Well, you already guessed it, but it's gonna be more of a hiking type of shoe. And the reason I say that, as I already alluded to, is because when I think of going out for a trail run, even on a run that's off trail, like I did just a bit ago, I don't think of this shoe. It's not inspiring me to get out and get to the trails. There's other shoes that do that for me. It's built really, really well. I think Under Armour had the right intent, but in today's competitive market, that midsole needs to change and needs to be improved. Morning guys, how are you? Doing great, enjoy. Thank you. So I just want to reiterate that when I think of a shoe that I want to be fun and agile for hiking, especially on rugged terrain like going up Lone Peak in Utah or Longs Peak here in Colorado, or hiking, backpacking the Maroon Bells in Aspen, Colorado, something like that where it's pretty rugged, high alpine. This is the shoe that I'm going to think about taking and likely take on those types of treks, which is fitting because the name of the shoe is the Ridge Trek. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, and consider joining the channel membership. Only $1 a month and really supports the channel and the content that I share with you. You'll also have access to members only exclusive videos, debut runs in certain shoes and other gear, and I have a lot more coming to the channel. So please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. All right, this has been a pretty fun day. I enjoyed getting up on top of the mountain. It's been beautiful. We'll leave this video off as we always do. Remember to be consistent, express gratitude, and enjoy every mile as I am today in the Under Armour Hover Ridge Trek trail shoe. Or is it a hiking shoe? See you in the next video. Bye. Always gotta come back for the camera.